Introducing Instagram Teen Accounts, a new way to keep your teen safer as they grow, like making sure they always have their seatbelt on.
All right, buckle up. Good job.
New Instagram Teen Accounts, automatic protections for who can contact your teen and the content they can see.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores brings you Garage Logic Podcast number 1069, May 2nd, 2023. And for the second day in a row, the record high for this day was 91 degrees, established in 1959. Man, they had a nice little stretch there.
Man, what's going on?
Wow. 24 degrees in 1875 and 1961. You're all getting your fishing boats tuned up. You're getting ready to go. It's going to happen. It's going to happen momentarily. And today's ice outs are brought to you by Ripple Lip University. If you're a fisherman, Ripple Lip provides instructions to set up, tweak, and dial in your electronic stuff, your Humminbird, Garmin, or Lowrance Marine Electronics through an app. They have an app that it's amazing because I don't even understand the electronic use of the stuff to find fish.
You don't, huh?
But they have an app that'll straighten it all out. Visit Ripple Lip, one word, university.com for details. We have ice out on Lake Minnetonka today in 1950. In 2013, and we have ice out on White Bear Lake today in 1965. If you own a lake home or have a pond on your property, call Aquaside. Get rid of the junk that keeps the kids from jumping in. They're freaked out. They say, get rid of that stuff. Aquaside has been helping people maintain Great Lake shores for more than 60 years with a line of lake products that will take care of everything from weeds to algae. They're easy to use. They work quickly. We hear from GLers who use it all the time. Aquaside is registered with the EPA and DNR, and their products are safe for you and your family. Don't let weeds overtake the whole setup this summer. Call Aquaside. They'll identify your problem. Your place will look great. Call Aquaside at 1-800-328-9350 or go to aquaside.com.
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Heidt in the newsroom, and of course, the Rookie. Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Souchere.
Some musician deaths jump right to the top, don't they? Gordon Lightfoot has died at the age of 84. And we're all in agreement for a change. We're not going to have any arguments. We all loved him. Many musicians loved him, including Dylan. Neil Young, you know the story. If you could read my mind.
Oh, my God, what a great tune.
Yeah. Anyway, he's gone, so.
Amazing lyrics, amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's on Amazon Prime. It's called Gordon Lightfoot, If You Could Read My Mind. It's a fantastic documentary.
Can I say it into my microphone?
You have the Prime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just go to the microphone and say, Gordon Lightfoot, if you could read my mind, and maybe she'll come up.
How old is it, Kenny?
I don't know, Chris. Just no further questions.
Sorry.
We're going to have a guest coming up, a guy named John Reynolds, who's the head of the Minnesota chapter of the National Federation of Independent Businesses. And you're wondering, why are we going to have him on?
Why?
Well, I'll tell you why.
What the hell?
The House of Representatives, as we speak, is taking up a bill that would create a statewide family leave and paid medical leave policy. The bill would offer Minnesota workers up to 12 weeks of paid family leave and up to an additional 12 weeks of paid medical leave. As I say, House members are meeting as we speak, and Mr. Reynolds can help us understand why this quite possibly might be a bad idea.
Right.
As it stands now, if you work for a company with benefits, for example, and you have a child mom could stay home for a while. Is that
Depending upon your company's benefit portfolio, yes.
right? And that's up to the company, and
Correct.
that wouldn't have anything to do with the government.
Nor should it, but yes.
But now the government, given that they run the table now, they own all three houses, three branches. What the government intends to do, if I'm understanding this correctly, and Mr. Reynolds can help me in the event I'm wrong, you could work at a takeout fast food restaurant, for example, with no benefits, if any.
Right.
And if this passes, you would have 12 weeks of paid leave. This might be, just without me knowing a lot about it, this sounds devastating to small businesses.
The sentiment is in the right place. I kind of understand why they'd want to do this, but it will cripple small business in the state of Minnesota.
Well, I'm thinking of hardware stores, for example.
Right.
I'm thinking of a lot of places that.
Do you know, after my wife had her first child and each child after that, how long my family leave was?
0.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Why would you have had family leave? She had the baby.
Spouse, I'm stressed out. This is a tough pregnancy for me. I'll see you tomorrow. Congratulations. I'll see you tomorrow.
All I know is about your wife having a kid that you called as a hot dog eating champion from the hospital.
Nagashogi?
Yeah. Very fast.
Like rabbit.
Fast.
Who's the rabbit?
You have to know that the DFL knows that this is going to cripple small business. So what is their motivation for continuing if they know this?
What's going to happen to those businesses? They're going to be tight on money, and they're going to find maybe some of the
we have an expert that'll come on.
Well, they're going to fail.
Trumped. No pun intended.
They'll come on and tell us.
Sorry, John.
It's another crucial moment in what's happening to the state.
Yeah.
When's the last time, I think I'm echoing Jordy, when's the last time the DFL ever voted for something on behalf of responsible people? I'm not saying that if you work at a fast food place, you're irresponsible.
You mean here locally, the state?
I'm saying taken generally speaking. When is the last time liberals, let's just make it that, take it out of Minnesota, when's the last time liberals ever advanced a notion on behalf of responsible people? Are you aware of the mortgage kerfuffle?
Sure am, Joe.
Yeah, I am.
What in God's name is this?
I've never seen anything so backwards and upside down and inside out.
About equality.
It's about Marxism.
Stupidity.
It's going to lead to so many failures.
State treasurers and other top financial figures from 27 states on Monday urged President Biden to end what they said was an unconscionable policy of forcing people with good credit scores to subsidize mortgage loans of higher risk borrowers.
Makes perfect sense.
Biden's plan was outlined just a few weeks ago by the Federal Housing Agency and is set to take effect today, meaning yesterday. The plan is aimed at helping lower income borrowers afford their monthly mortgage payments. It would do so by forcing people with good credit scores to pay more each month for their mortgages. Extra payments that would be credited to the loans of higher risk borrowers.
I love it.
Can you imagine?
What's the saying I'm thinking of? From those who can to those. What's the Marx phrase?
Bite the hand that feeds you.
No, the Marx phrase. From each who can to those who can't, or what the hell was this?
From
phrase?
many to few. From loaves to fishes.
Much is expected. What's that one?
No, that's not.
From whom much is given, much is expected.
Well, that's different. That's morality.
To each according to his needs?
Yes.
From each according to his ability,
to
each according to his needs.
Well, that's what this is. That doesn't work.
Karl Marx is the...
Because then those with the ability are swamped, and it's over.
In fact, you know what? I think we should take this a step further. That's in addition to... Joe, can you just give me a check each month to cover my mortgage?
No, I can't. But you know what? It said 27 state treasurers. I bet Minnesota is not among them. I mean, you have a trifecta here.
We don't know that.
No, I said I bet Minnesota is not among the state treasurers confronting this. You have a trifecta of the mystery running and ruining this state. They're probably all for this.
Oh, absolutely they are.
Right, yeah.
The controversial policy has been attacked by both Republicans and Democrats, including Obama's former federal housing administrator. On Monday, financial officers from 27 states weighed in and said it was clear the policy was a mistake even before it took effect. Well, it's obviously a mistake because it's not American. It's not capitalism. It's not freedom. It's not convention.
But we always ask this question when insane ideas like this seem to surface, and it's what's the bigger game here? Because obviously, the puppet master is behind the president. It just seems like they're dead set on financial ruin in this country, because that's what this is.
It's already clear that this new policy will be a disaster, these state treasurers wrote. The policy was proposed by the Federal Housing Agency Finance Agency Director Sandra Thompson, and it is set to take effect. It took effect yesterday. Well, did this get a congressional vote?
This was passed last week.
The policy will take money away from people who played by the rules and did things right, including millions of hardworking middle-class Americans who built a good credit score and saved enough to make a strong down payment. Incredibly, those who make down payments of 20% or more on their homes will pay the highest fees, one of the most backward incentives imaginable. It noted that the forced extra payments will be used to hand out better mortgage rates to people with lower credit ratings. Others said that the plan would make it easier for people with shaky credit histories to afford more expensive mortgages, a move that could put more people at financial risk. Home ownership is a worthy goal, but you're forcing the subsidization of it. This is unconscionable.
So let's see. I need to go out right now and get as many credit cards to lower my credit score.
This is one of Biden's equity initiatives.
Told you.
The right way to solve the problem is not to use the power of the federal government to penalize hardworking middle-class American families by confiscating their money and using it as a handout, the treasurers from 27 states wrote. The right way is to implement policies which will reduce inflation, cut energy costs, and bring lower interest rates. Isn't that the truth? You're doing this while you're handcuffing our own energy production. You're doing this, which drives up gas prices. Mm-hmm. You're doing this while inflation is running rampant and people are having a hard time at the grocery store. And now you're going to introduce this idea that because you could afford to pay your mortgage and got a good credit rating, therefore your mortgage will be higher and we'll give a better mortgage to somebody who can't afford it. This is not an American way of doing business. John Heidt, can you see any good in this?
I cannot, and I was unaware of this till you just presented it to me.
The other thing to keep in mind, gentlemen, is in the first couple of months of this calendar year, we've already done so much damage raising the interest rate in general that the housing market has plummeted because of the direct result of this administration. This will even further cripple that.
The letter was signed by treasurers, auditors, and commissioners of revenue and other top officials. Let's see if Minnesota makes the list.
Okay.
From Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, Florida, Idaho, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, Nebraska, Nevada, North Carolina, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, South Dakota, Texas, Utah, West Virginia, Wisconsin, and Wyoming. Minnesota did not sign the letter.
Is Wisconsin a blue state? I think it is, isn't it?
Yeah. But this shouldn't even, I guess in today's world, this would fall along party lines. But in a saner United States, this would have received bipartisan support to condemn such a thing.
I mean, you even have an argument for saying the old way of doing it, bad credit and not having enough money for a down payment or being able to afford a mortgage, saved those people. It saved them from the agony of bankruptcy and losing their house and having a bad credit score for 10 years.
That's right.
And now, you know what's happening now. Now it's everybody's problem.
The other thing to keep in mind is there are a number of programs that are currently out there for people that have, deficiencies, whether it's their credit. There's all sorts of different programs that you can utilize that the government has nothing to do with and shouldn't.
How will the left punish people who've already paid off their house?
Oh, that's probably next. Sorry.
You're
asking for a friend, are you?
Yeah.
I think I'm asking on behalf of a lot of people.
I know, yeah.
I
think they're
can't
actually
believe
working on that, Joe. I just read something last week about that very subject.
You're funning me, aren't you?
No.
You're having a laugh.
You're funning
Are
me.
you having a laugh?
No. I'll get back to you.
The ruination of everything that once seemed normal is incredible.
Here's the other thing that should alarm everyone.
Plus, these are the same people that would prefer you weren't in a house
That's
anyway.
exactly what I was just going to say.
They would just as soon you be in one of the Soviet-style boxes.
You should be a renter.
And not have a car and be on the light rail.
There you go. You and the CP getting a nice little condo, huh?
Looking good, Billy Ray.
Well, I think this dovetails nicely into talking with...
Oh, no question. Yeah.
John Reynolds from the National Federation of Independent Businesses. He used to work for the state art legislature. I don't know in what capacity. We'll
find out.
We'll learn many of those things. I really... you know what? It's a good time to talk about... It's a good time to talk about sadness.
Whoa.
Well, Mueller Memorial, it's about sadness when someone dies and you have to plan a funeral, and that can be a sad time. But I know from personal experience, and because I know the family, that Mueller Memorials, MuellerMemorial.com, takes these difficult and sad times of life and they turn them into something that ends up celebrating the life of a well-lived life of a loved one. They've been doing this for more than 70 years, 3 generations of family. I know the man who runs Mueller Memorial, Scott Mueller, good guy. He is a guy that knows how to take care of difficult details. He also has written a book called What to Know Before You Go. It's free. If you go to the MuellerMemorial.com website, if they still have copies left, it answers every question you could possibly have about death, grief, and funerals, but in a way that will leave you unfrightened and it'll relieve your anxiety.
Put you at ease.
These are great people to put you at ease at a difficult time in life. Sadness, of course, is a part of it, but they help you understand that grief in a really great way. MuellerMemorial.com.
Hey GLers, it's Reavers here, and you've heard me talk about my relationship with Josh Arnold for quite some time now. And the reason I advocate that you give Josh a call is simple. Well, actually, it's 2 reasons. Trust and results. Josh has seen it all when it comes to economic and market conditions. As he says, past results do not guarantee future returns. Well, that is true. Josh can make sure that your retirement objectives match your investments. And you can trust Josh to make sure that you are not paying more in fees than you are selling in returns. Yes, that is more common than you would think. So do yourself a favor by booking a 48-minute free consultation that has absolutely no obligation. Call Josh today at 952-925-5608. That number once again is 952-925-5608. You will be glad you did.
Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant LLC, a security investment advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions are Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice.
Chris Reavers is a paid endorser.
This guy wears many hats, just not indoors. Joe Souchere.
Maple Grove Lock and Safe, still doing another sale. World famous Liberty Safe, the best built safe you can buy. Full lifetime transferable warranty, best fire protection in the business. Rich, Maple Grove Lock and Safe, he's the owner there. Doing the old dads and grads sale. It's going on for, wait a minute, But let me check the calendar. Oh, through Thursday, the 4th. That's this week. You can save up to $400 on select Centurion models. If you need a budget-friendly and a secure safe, the Centurion safe, a great example of Liberty's level 1 security. It's also one of the top-selling safes. The Centurion, yeah, it's economy price, but economy pricing doesn't mean you're going to skimp on security. You've got to stop into the largest Liberty showroom in Minnesota, 6901 East Fish Lake Road in Maple Grove, or check out the website, Maple Grove Lock and Safe. The sale on the Centurion line runs through this Thursday. Check it out, maplegrovelockandsafe.com.
We're joined by John Reynolds. Hello, John.
Mr. Shushare, how are you?
Pretty good. We don't know each other. You come highly recommended. You are a member of the National Federation of Independent Businesses. Is that correct?
I'm the state director for the National Federation of Independent Business, and we represent 10,000 small business owners all across Minnesota.
And we just got done talking for a bit on the air about this new mortgage application in the country, which I find dreadful. If you can afford your mortgage, apparently you're going to have to subsidize someone who can't. And it seems to dovetail nicely into what you're concerned about, we're all concerned about. As we speak, the House is wrangling with the Family Leave Act. Could you help us understand what is taking place?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me on and giving me a chance to talk about this. This is really just a wild program that I think is going to turn into a boondoggle. So it's called the Paid Family and Medical Leave Program, and it would offer, depending on the version in House or Senate, it would require every employer in the state to allow every employee to take 20 or 24 weeks off per year. It would be paid for by a new payroll tax on employers and employees. It would be run by 400 new bureaucrats in St. Paul, would require a new IT system built from scratch, and is really it's going to upend the benefit set for every single employee in the state. So this is, if you like your benefits, you're not going to be able to keep them.
Would my employer have to participate, for example? All employers would have to participate?
It covers every single employer in the state down to one employee.
Wow. Even if my employer has its own leave plan in place, this would be independent of that, correct?
Exactly. So if your employer, say, offers you 6 weeks of paid parental leave and a short-term disability policy to cover any medical circumstance that may arise, but they also offer a 401k match or 100% of medical premiums, this goes on top of all of that, which is, of course, when you're talking about almost every employer, especially the small employers that NFIB represents, we're talking about a finite pie here, right? A finite amount of money that can go into your labor costs. So you have this $1.5 billion payroll tax coming over the top, this expansive program, and that's going to upend the benefit set for every employee in the state.
You also worked for the state legislature at some point in your life, is that correct?
Yes, I worked for the Minnesota House for 8 years.
So you can see this from both sides. What if we can see that this is so damning, why is it happening?
Yeah, this is really an unusual bill. I mean, I've read, maybe 10,000 bills over the last 12 years, and I've never seen one that's written so poorly, that's so complicated, that's so complex. And the reason that is because this is a bill written by activists and academics. It's not written by people who've run businesses. It's extremely inflexible, extremely complicated to comply with, and it's going to be probably the most expensive, most complex paid family and medical leave program in the country for small businesses. And there's only 12 states that have them. Of course, 11 are mandates, and that's the path that the DFL has chosen to follow here in Minnesota.
Give us, create a scenario for us to help us understand. Create a fictional small business and a fictional employee and help us walk through this.
Sure. So I'll just take our average member. So NFIB, our average small business member employs 10 Minnesotans. They have about $500,000 in annual revenue. So, if you're talking coming over the top with a 0.7% payroll tax, you're increasing labor costs. The bill allows, as it currently stands, the House bill allows a person to take up to 24 weeks off per year, broken into two sides, up to 12 weeks for the employee's own medical issue and up to 12 weeks to bond with a new child or care for a family member. So, you're talking 10, our average member with 10 employees, if one or two of them take 3 to 6 months of leave per year, that's devastating. That's devastating. And some leaves are going to happen no matter what. People have medical issues, that happens. But employers offer what they can offer, right? What works for them and their employees. And that's not limitless. So if you're, especially at a time when the state is suffering from stagnant population growth, from a chronic workforce shortage, if you're 10 employee shop and you lose one or two people for that amount of time, you're not going to be able to replace them. So you're going to lose sales. You're going to lose revenue. It's going to be that much harder to keep your doors open.
Okay, you can't replace them because you can't afford to, or the bill would prevent you?
First, you probably can't afford to in most cases.
Right.
And the ability to find a temporary worker, especially like in a skilled position. So if you're a small manufacturing firm, right, and you need a skilled worker who understands how to operate complicated machinery, you're not going to be able to find a person like that to hire for 2, 3, 4, 6 months. But the bill also more or less forces small employers or all employers to hold the position open, because when the employee goes out on leave, they are entitled to their job back, and not just their position. They're entitled to everything back the same way it was when they left. So the same number of hours of overtime, the same shift, everything. And that's just impossible, right? Because it's a catch-22 for small businesses. You can't afford to hire a permanent replacement because you can't afford to have too many people working, and it's impossible to find a temporary replacement. So the likelihood is you're going to leave that job open and try to backfill through overtime or by shifting some of the responsibility onto your other workers, but it's going to be really, really tough.
Okay, let me dumb it down even farther. I own Joe's Tool and Die Shop, and I have 12 employees. And my best worker on a drill press happens to be a woman, Annie. Annie's now pregnant. She's going to deliver. But this bill would allow her to be gone for 3 months. So I'm going to take this in steps. So far, am I correct?
Yep.
So I lose Annie. She's the best person I've ever had on a drill press. And now my options are to hope somebody else among my remaining 11 employees can also work the drill press, or I'd have to miraculously find someone willing to come in and work the drill press for 3 months, knowing that I quite probably could not keep them. Is that correct?
That's exactly right.
And you'd have to pay both salaries.
Yeah, I'd have to pay for Annie, who's at home, and then I'd have to repay for Bob, who walked through the door and said, yeah, I'll take a shot on your drill press for 3 months. And so the employer has to continue to pay Annie's salary in addition to now paying Bob's salary.
You're paying the payroll tax, right, for Annie to use the state program. And then you're paying probably a premium if you on her replacement, if you can find a replacement, or you're losing sales, right? And that's the problem, is your revenue is going down or your labor costs are going up.
Who pays Annie for the 3 months she's gone?
Annie has the pleasure of applying to the new government agency that will administer this program.
Right.
And she'll submit some kind of doctor's note or some sort of certification that she qualifies for leave. And if the state decides that she qualifies, however long that takes, in other states, it's taken up to 10 weeks for them to determine whether somebody qualifies for paid leave. And if she qualifies, the state will tell her how much leave she gets and how much she'll get paid. And under a very complicated wage replacement formula in the bill, she'll get a portion of her salary through the state program.
What if Joe's Tool and Die Shop has its own program and was perfectly willing to take care of Annie in the first place?
So in theory, an employer could pay a small administrative fee to the state to opt out, but their program, so their paid leave policy, would have to be identical to the state's. So you'd have to commit to 24 weeks.
Wow.
You'd have to commit to the same level of wage replacement or higher, and all the other terms and conditions that come with the program.
Now, but this also applies to Annie and Annie's significant other, who would be, let's just say, the father of the child, correct?
Correct. Yeah. Yep. So and that's a nightmare scenario because it's pretty plausible for a small business to employ both a husband and a wife, right?
Dang, we had our kids at the wrong time.
No, Annie didn't marry a guy from my shop. She married a guy that works at Pete's Submarine Shop.
But this guy would also qualify for this same leave.
And this will require, John, a new bureaucracy of 400 new employees.
Yeah, it's wild. So to have a budget of about $70 or $75 million a year, 400 new government workers, a brand new IT system, and you've been around, you know how this has played out before. MNsure, MNLARS, we have a horrendous track record of trying to build out programs like this, and they just haven't been very successful, and they've utterly failed to deliver on the promise.
Yeah, MNsure is garbage from somebody who tried to get involved with it. It's an absolute piece of crap program.
Yeah, it's like a website that looks like it was built in the 90s, but we spent $500 million of taxpayer money on it.
John, let's go back to, are you a native Minnesotan?
I am not. I grew up in southern New York.
How long have you been in the state?
15 years.
Are things right now as difficult as you've found them to be in 15 years?
This is not the state that I moved to 15 years ago. The paid family medical leave mandate is just one of so many mandates coming at employers right now, and increasing costs for both employers and employees. And the legislature this year, I've just never seen such a disdain for people who provide jobs, right? Who fund communities, who are the backbone of so many small towns and cities across the state. And there's just an absolute contempt for employers, and it's really sad to see because this is such a great state.
Why?
No, it isn't. No, it's not.
Why? What's their motive? Why?
What I want to explore, John, is going back to the beginning. I asked you, if we all can see that this is folly, why is it being done? What ideological force compels this?
Yeah, so there are... It's a complicated answer, but the short way of answering it is that there are national networks of progressive ideologues, right, who pay to push this in every state. And when a state turns, completely blue, like Minnesota did last fall, they seize on that opportunity and they push as hard and as far as they can, and they dismiss the concerns of business owners. They dismiss the concerns of regular people, and they're pushing, a harsher version of copycat legislation that originated in places like California and New York and Washington.
But why? Why? We need to get to the why.
Government dependence.
Well, their stated reason, right, is that everybody deserves to have this, magical 24 weeks of leave, and every employee, every worker deserves the exact same benefit, and that applies to whatever mandate they're pursuing, not just paid family and medical leave. But why? I mean, it's control, right? It's all about control. It's fundamentally about control. It's about the government knows better than the business owner who created the business.
But you'll be left controlling not very much at all, because ultimately it will fail. Businesses will weaken and close. Revenue streams will shrink. The end cannot possibly justify these means.
No, but we see this over and over, and I'd go back to the Mincher example, right? Like, did it make any sense for the government to build a $500 million website when there were already plenty of commercial websites out there where you could shop and compare for insurance plans? No, absolutely not. But they did it because they just think that the government can do better than everyone else.
John, I have kind of a loaded question, so bear with me. It was announced today that 3M is laying off an additional 1,100 employees at its Maplewood headquarters. Overall, it's reducing its 90,000 employee headcount by 10% around the world. Take it to just the state level. If this passes, and we have no evidence to suggest that it won't, but if this does pass, use your crystal ball. You're smart. You study business here in the state of Minnesota. What type of effect is this going to have in the short term and in the long term in the state of Minnesota?
Oh, I think people will absolutely leave. And not only will some leave, right, in the case of larger businesses like 3M, I think you'll see more downsizing. I think you'll see less expansion here in Minnesota, more expansion in more business-friendly states. It's not going to work the way they want it to work, right? And we've seen in other states that have these programs, like New York and California, for instance. You should hear the activists at the hearings in the state legislature here promote this bill, right? It's the magic wand. It's going to cure all our problems. It's going to make us, an island for people to move here. We're going to get more workers, everything. But in New York and California have had PFML programs for years, paid family medical leave programs for years. And they lost more workers than any other state in the country over the last 3 years. They each lost 250,000 workers among the many hundreds of thousands of people that they lost in total population. So this is not a silver bullet, right? We're just taking more money out of small business owners' pockets. We're taking more money out of workers' pockets for some government dream, and we've seen how that turn into a nightmare before.
If I'm not mistaken, Zainab Mohammed, Carrie Dietzig, and Lindsay Part are the authors in the House. Do those names ring a bell?
Yes. So those are three of the Senate authors. The chief author in the Senate is Senator Elise Mann from Bloomington, and then the chief author in the House is Representative Ruth Richardson from Inver Grove Heights.
Do any of them have a business background? I don't think so.
Off the top of my head,
Dietzig's been in politics for a while.
None that I can think of.
Yeah.
All right. So thanks for painting a great picture. All righty.
So it passes, John. It passes. Then what's in store for the National Federation of Independent Businesses Minnesota chapter?
Well, we're going to keep on fighting right down to the end here. There's 3 weeks left in session. There's still a ways to go for this bill. It's got to be passed by the Senate after the House, and then they'll have to go to a conference committee to work it out. And what we're looking for is at least protect small businesses, if nothing else. At least protect small businesses. And we've got a number of things that we're hoping to see changed before it becomes law, and we'll keep pressing. We've had a campaign going all year, nfib.com/MN tax hike. And we're just trying to keep the pressure on.
John, with your blessing, we'll stay in touch.
I would love to. Yeah. Thank you very much for having me on.
Thank you. John Reynolds, who's the head of the Minnesota division of the National Federation of Independent Businesses. And with that, I would like to take a
wait a second.
Yeah, a whiskey shot.
I want to start drinking again.
I know the final goal. It's the USSA, United Socialist States of America.
I don't know how that can be hyperbole.
I'm dead on. I'm serious.
I don't know how that can be hyperbole.
That's exactly what they're shooting for.
If you're not setting out to ruin Joe's tool and die shop. You're setting out to put it on a leash that you control.
Well, the other part to consider is
you're putting it on a choke chain.
All of these small businesses, Joe's Tool and Die Shop, Mom and Pop's, bookstore, whatever, all of these independent places are now going to be forced to either close their door or sell to a higher governing body.
It's an old game of the mafia. Destroy the business, take it over, come in and save it.
That's exactly what's going to happen.
That's what they're doing.
Does Zaid Mohammed know how to run a drill press at my tool and die shop?
Doubtful.
I guess it's not.
They're protected because they're on the rail.
Yeah, take a time out, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not a Garage Logic Town Council member? Here's what you're missing.
The Wild could move away. I'm sick of this bull.
Move them to Dallas?
Move them. Get them out of here.
Dallas.
We don't deserve a NHL franchise.
It's the same with the Timberwolves and the same with the Vikings.
I don't care about those sports.
I'm wondering if these teams are affected by
global warming.
The mystery. I'm wondering if the progressiveness in this state, the utter ruin of the state, is somehow ideologically factoring into their play.
Those guys don't have any idea what's going on in the real world.
Go behind the scenes of Garage Logic with unfiltered audio and video access, invites to exclusive events, an emailed newsletter from the mayor himself, and more by signing up at garagelogic.com.
Here's a man who spends hours in hardware stores, sifting through the nuts and bolts of life. Joe Souchere.
I could actually do this in 10 seconds. ProTurf, professionalturf.com will give you the best lawn in your neighborhood. They'll also give you the best landscaping in your neighborhood, professionalturf.com. There, done. Well, but I want to give them a little more. Their landscaping division, I've seen them at work. They're pretty amazing. And what they did for us, they can do for you. They come out and they show you what it's going to be before they even start. Huh? It's some kind of weird computer voodoo where they can show you how your backyard will look before they even put a shovel in the ground. That's really cool. And they can do it all. Trees, shrubs, mulch, rock, sod, pools, patios, stone, concrete. Doesn't matter what your dream is. They'll make it come true. The best lawn in the neighborhood and an amazing outdoor environment. You can see all of their work at professionalturf.com.
The LGBTQ plus 3 vitamin B12I minus 7 community has no sense of humor. Zero. There's a Republican councilman in Indiana.
Oh, dang it. I had that audio, too.
Well, find it. He's now my hero. He's going viral.
What's he doing?
Well, he came out as a black lesbian woman.
Okay.
And his name is Ryan Webb. He's got 5 kids. He's married to his wife, Brandy. He's a councilman for Delaware County, Indiana. But he raised eyebrows after he announced his gender transition on Facebook in a move that put some conservative commentators are interpreting as a joke. Webb himself has said that he's holding up a mirror to the political left to expose the contradictions in gender ideology. After much consideration, I've decided to come out and finally feel comfortable announcing my true, authentic self, Webb wrote. It is with great relief that I announce to everyone that I identify as a woman, and not just any woman, but as a woman of color as well. I guess this would make me gay lesbian also, since I'm attracted to women. And he's having a lot of fun with this. He said that you can still call him Ryan or Councilman Webb, and I'm going to retain my pronouns of he and him. The announcement, Webb wrote, likely made him the first lesbian woman of color in the history of Delaware County
They love those.
to ever serve on the Delaware County Council.
Congratulations.
Well, he's getting death threats.
Oh, now that's where you're saying no sense of humor.
That's what I have is the lefties losing their minds
I'd
over
like
this.
to hear that.
Okay.
Yeah.
The person Ryan Webb announced publicly on social media that he now identifies as a lesbian woman of color. If he were serious, I'd sing his praises. But instead, I know better.
In none of my jobs in the last 21 years, and that is many, many jobs, would I have been permitted to mock and disrespect my customers.
And if that were true, we would all be proud of you, and no one would be denying your right to do such things and to identify by your heritage. But your open mockery of these communities is insane.
In order to demand for the resignation of Ryan Webb. The posts Mr. Webb made on April 12th were offensive on many levels.
After hearing these complaints, Ryan Webb responded.
I'm being dead serious. You don't get to question me. You do not get to require proof from me. You were part of the movement to help establish these rules and set the bar.
Touche, right. Councilman. Touche.
That's right. The guy is pointing out what hypocrites they are.
Right.
Oh, this is brilliant. This is wonderful. And all these freaks are going crazy. Hey, you people are the ones that set the rules. You're not supposed to question anybody. This is wonderful.
What was the one line we had a number of months ago? If someone is set to pretend, we're supposed to pretend along with them.
Yeah.
Right.
So he's saying, going forward, I will speak my truth and be open about who I am as a person and as how I perceive the complexity of my own gender identity. We cannot let bullies, racists, hateful, and intolerant bigots silence our voices. Well, good for you, pal. It was a great joke, and you're having fun with your fellow people, and they can't take it. So go, you know what? We're running out of people to say, go bleep yourself, but maybe that's what he's saying.
I got an idea. You know who should step up in this situation? Bud Light.
Yeah.
Make this guy the new spokesperson for Bud Light.
And now all these other people are saying, he's ridiculing me, he's misgendering me. Oh, go bleep yourself.
What do you care, lady or guy?
He's not telling you can't be what you claim you are.
Right.
He's just saying he is too, and you don't believe it. You don't believe it because he's having fun with you, you morons. Here's John Heidt.
Thank you, Joe.
What a segue.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. This news is brought to you by ProfessionalTurf.com. A red flag warning has been issued for most of the state of Minnesota today as high winds and dry conditions continue. Early this morning, the Department of Natural Resources said the warning will be in effect from noon until 8 tonight. Weather conditions mean fires are able to quickly spread and get out of control. Anyone who lives in an area listed under a red flag warning shouldn't burn any materials today, and the DNR won't be issuing or activating any open burning permits. Campfires also shouldn't be used in those areas.
It seems that nature has played a great role this spring in mitigating flood damage. You've had a very slow melt and high drying winds, and the crest has come and gone, for example, in St. Paul.
Right.
And we're doing fine. So there you have it.
Did you say our guy, Billy, out in the St. Croix where I'll show you.
Yeah, I saw the pictures.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Despite a nearly $18 billion state budget surplus, Minnesota Governor Walz continues making the case for higher fees on fishing licenses, boat registrations, and state parks. He continued his push for including those fees in the new state budget by visiting a fish hatchery in St. Paul yesterday that's well over 100 years old, hasn't had any major improvements since the late 1980s. The governor is proposing increasing fishing license fees for Minnesota residents from $25 to $30. Fishing boat registration fees would go from $27 to $59.
Jeez. Holy crap.
For 17 to 19-foot boats. Those boat fees are paid once every 3 years. An aquatic species fee would go from just over $10 to $20. State park fees would also go up from $7 to $10 daily and $35 to $45 for annual fees. So far, the House includes fee increases in its budget plan, but the Senate does not include using surplus money for some one-time uses. Department of Natural Resources Commissioner Sarah Stroman is negotiating with House and Senate members. A deadline to pass a budget is coming up in about 3 weeks, May 20th.
Quick question.
John, go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
How long since the hatchery has had any?
Get out of here.
Late 1980s.
Okay.
Finish my sentence. Finish my sentence.
My question is, how long are you people going to get away with telling us that stuff hasn't been taken care of? You're the people that have been in charge. Take care of it.
I was going down the avenue.
What?
You need fish and you need eggs or water and you need, that's what much more does it need?
No, but how long are they going to get away with saying, we've ignored the roads? These roads, no, they even put it in the past, in a third person. These roads have been ignored.
Neglected.
These bridges have been neglected. These rivers have been neglected. Well, why? You are the morons that are there.
Where did that $100 million that was supposed to go to the bridges, where did that go?
Same with taxes. You are the people who write the taxes. I'm speaking federally now. If they're not fair, you write them.
I'm going to use My stuff is sitting at Ward's right now. I'm going to use every ounce I can to not have to pay it.
The best fisheries are the ones we already have in the wild. They're non-sporting lakes where they plant fry in the spring. The fry don't have a lot of enemies or predators in there. They pull the fry out as fingerlings in the fall, and then they go plant those fish in the various lakes. That's the best
minnows?
fishery. Yeah. No, not minnows, walleye,
Do they
whatever.
grow up to be big fish? Because minnows don't.
But all kidding aside, for real, we take care of our hatcheries, and we're in a good.
No, we haven't, Matt. Not since the 80s. We haven't taken care of a hatchery.
Well, we need to do that, damn it.
You know, my cousin works at the hatchery.
No, Uncle Terry.
Uncle Terry
yeah.
worked at the hatchery.
He hated the
chicken
hatchery.
He didn't like that. He didn't like the
He hated the
hatchery.
hatchery.
Meanwhile,
the
the
earth
House
was uneven.
Meanwhile, the House approved a bill Monday night to spend $104 million to fund treatment programs for public safety workers, mostly police officers suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, and to pay their wages and benefits while in treatment in hopes of putting more officers back to work and stemming the surge of PTSD claims across the state. The appropriation also would reimburse local governments for the medical insurance premiums they are obligated to cover when an employee is getting a pension disability benefits. The bill passed 89-41 on a roll call vote, with a number of Republicans joining the DFL majority in supporting it. Similar legislation in the Senate has had one committee hearing. Another is scheduled for tomorrow. Former Minneapolis police officer Tu Tao has been found guilty of aiding in George Floyd's death. That verdict came yesterday after almost 3 full years after Floyd's killing in 2020. Tao is the last of the 4 officers involved to be convicted in his state case, as Derek Chauvin was convicted of murder and manslaughter in 2021. Tao is now expected to get a sentence in the range of 41 to 57 months in prison. His sentencing date is scheduled for August 7th. Currently, he is serving his federal sentence and isn't expected to be released till August 2025, meaning he could serve his state sentence while in federal prison.
Was he was the one standing behind the
He
vehicle,
was the one,
right?
yeah, in front of the car.
Pretending to keep pedestrians away.
Gotcha.
Yep. Staff member with the Minnesota Sex Offender Program in Moose Lake had to be airlifted to a hospital after a client beat him Monday morning, according to Minnesota Department of Human Services. DHS spokesman Christopher Sprung said the client came up to the staff member from behind and bludgeoned him with what's being called a heavy object. The MSOP employee fell to the ground. The client continued beating and kicking him in the head until other staff members could intervene. Sprung said the attack was unprovoked. 53-year-old staff member was transported via helicopter to an advanced care hospital. Carleton County Sheriff's Office says the client, 29-year-old Nicholas Liddell Aaron Jones, was taken into custody on suspicion of second-degree assault and fourth-degree assault. The Carleton County Sheriff's Office and DHS are both investigating the attack.
Sounds like it from the news. It was just completely unprovoked, and he messed that guy up really bad.
Mm-hmm. From the Star Tribune, Chris mentioned this earlier, 3M laying off 1,100 employees at its Maplewood headquarters. That's nearly twice as many Minnesota job losses as the company previously anticipated would be part of their sweeping cost-cutting plan of at least 10% of the workforce. Layoff notice follows last week's announcement that 6,000 jobs will be cut globally as the company embarks on a structural reorganization. An additional 2,500 manufacturing jobs are being cut as well, 3M announced in January.
It's all fun and games until you run out of other people's money.
Mm-hmm. A Minnesota state senator found internet fame apparently reluctantly after casting his vote in a Zoom meeting Monday, shirtless and in front of a background. Senator Calvin Barr, Republican, went to sound his vote on the Legislative Audit Commission when he appeared lying in bed with his shirt off and a still image of the Bill character from Schoolhouse Rock, like I'm just a Bill sitting on that bed on hill. In the background. After giving a yes vote, he quickly turns the camera upward and turns off the video, so it's a black screen that just shows the words Senator Cal Barr. Several people at the in-person meeting room are seen smiling in the background after the camera switches back. A GOP Senate spokeswoman said Barr had worked until 4:45 in the morning at his job as a truck driver and then went to bed Monday morning. She had no other comment on the vote or video. Commenters made memes out of the situation on Twitter. Twitter user at Roger Groh posted an image of a cockatiel drinking out of a cocktail glass with the text, unsea juice posted over the glass.
The only thing I took from it is that he actually works.
Yeah,
He might
I know
be the
Cal.
only legislator that has a job.
I know Cal. Cal delivers gas.
Oh, yeah, you've met him.
Yes, I've met. I
The
had
truck driver.
many good conversations with Cal. Actually, standing around.
Cal, let me give you some advice. When and I'm a professional Zoom meeting guy.
We don't know that.
But you just have to go full disclosure. When we had a company-wide meeting during COVID, and remember I was sitting in my backyard, and I had a little glass of water here. 20 minutes into it, I said, "Hey, boss, how long do I have to?"
You were. It was first suggested. The boss said, "Hey, if anyone wants to enjoy themselves, go ahead." And then you responded with,
"How long do I have to pretend that I haven't been doing that already from opening of the meeting?" Just full disclosure.
The lineup of grandstand acts for the Minnesota State Fair is now complete. With
Was the fair this year about a month long? I mean, how many nights do they have here?
That's a good point.
Every day they got a new act.
They've been in the news a lot.
This is the last one now. The last act. All the nights are now full.
Oh, good.
Announced for September 1st, the second Friday night at the fair, the Jonas Brothers. Tickets go on sale May 12th.
The Jonas Brothers on.
What?
We could have the Jonas
I
Brothers
don't want
on.
them on. That's okay.
Who are you?
Yeah.
Just be kind of like the Gary Loris conversation. Hi, it's Gary Loris. See ya. Get out of here.
Or Barry from
I don't know
the Brady
Barry.
Bunch.
I don't know a
Or
Barry.
is Barry Williams.
We'll come back.
Wait
with
a
some
second.
more. Yeah.
Speaking of
hello.
Barry, the Brady Bunch, that show has been appearing on my local TV channel along with Happy Days.
Yeah, what do you think?
And I just have to say, Mrs. C, Mrs. Cunningham, and Mrs. Brady. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's out there now.
Yeah.
where would you rank
Isn't
Mrs.
that-
Brady, Mrs. C, and Mrs. Howell, Kenny? And what's your power rankings?
Barbara Stanwyck
How
guy.
Howell
So.
finishes last.
Mrs.
Lovey?
Cunningham, you know her and Fonzie were just smashing it. You know they were.
That's why he let her call her Arthur.
Oh, my God.
The only
Tom
one that could call
Bosley,
him Arthur.
Bosley had no idea.
Right
He'd go
behind the
off to
curtains.
work, and it was all morning long.
Right behind the curtains.
2 thumbs up, if you know what I'm saying.
What were you doing up at Fonzie's place there, Marion?
Don't know what to
Making
say.
some
really.
chili.
Delivering cookies.
Yes.
I think we'll come back maybe with some more.
That's a great
news.
setup to tell you that all I need
Right.
is some tasty blood and some waves. What's that saying? All I need is a weather forecast to drive my Yamaha scooter that Tim Bloom delivered. It's maintained and stored by EcoFun Motorsports among their many services.
You should have went with Fonzie had a motorcycle.
EcoFun Motorsports. EcoFun Motorsports in Forest Lake and Burnsville. Electric bikes in stock. Scooters that turn. My brother called me. He bought a scooter last year from EcoFun, 49cc, one of the scooters that turns every urban errand into an adventure. He loaded it with non-ethanol gas and seafoam, put it away in his storage building. 6 months to the day yesterday, he got it out, turned the key, vroom, started right up. It's an EcoFun supplied scooter. Also, side-by-sides, youth recreational equipment, service and apparel, the Vanderhall Roadster. Oh, God, I'm afraid to go look at one because I'll want one. You have to see those in person. 195 horsepower, 4-cylinder, turbocharged, street legal. They remind me of old Morgans, if you can picture that. It's EcoFun Motorsports in Forest Lake on Highway 97, just immediately west of Interstate 35. And in Burnsville on the Service Road of Life near County Road 42. It's EcoFunMotorsports.com.
Quite some time ago, I told you about the Minnesota Masonic Charity Scholarship Program. Well, it's getting larger and larger at the moment. As one of the largest private scholarship granting organizations in the state of Minnesota, Minnesota Masonic Charities is proud to support the young people of Minnesota. And I've seen some of the letters already. I've seen the program. It is fantastic. They launched a brand new scholarship program unlike anything I've ever seen and you've ever seen. It's called the Selfless Scholar. You want to know the way it works? The program works like this. Instead of inviting students to apply for a scholarship based on their own achievements, the scholarship encourages young people to look beyond themselves, recognize kindness and selflessness of of their fellow students. After receiving hundreds of wonderful stories, MMC has finalized the recipients for 2023. Over the course of the next several weeks, I'll be sharing some of those stories with you, GL listeners. Another cool thing about the scholarship, the $5,000 scholarships are split between the nominator and the nominee, thereby awarding both the person who took the time to be creative and write the story about the person and the other guy. It's such a great deal. Yes, the one who got the attention of the peer. The other guy. That's what we're calling him. I can't wait for you to hear some of these stories, and I can't wait for you to be more involved in the scholarship program for next year. If you'd like a sneak peek, go to mnmasoniccharities.com and ask for the other guy. If he's got a golf
Justice
game,
and the
you better
Susurette.
get that show done really fast.
DK Mags, they swung open the doors at 10 a.m. today with a wide selection of all sorts of firearms, rifles, shotguns, revolvers, pistols, along with ammunition, magazines, accessories, parts, even gunsmithing. They're a full-service joint over there in New Brighton. They serve the entire, the Twin Cities area, but then beyond. And they have a fantastic website, dkmags.com. Special orders are their specialty. They'll be happy to help you find whatever you're looking for. They'll also buy the old stuff you don't want. Maybe you want to trade in something, get something new. Good idea. They can take a single item. They can take a whole house of firearms. It doesn't matter. Contact them if you want to sell something. They even do consignment if that's your deal. Not a big problem. A wonderful staff, a great selection, very fair prices. DK Mags, Old 8 in New Brighton, and on the web, dkmags.com.
An interstate in central Illinois reopened this morning after at least 6 people were killed, more than 70 vehicles crashing in a dust storm yesterday. The crashes along Interstate 55 happened shortly before 11 in the morning in Montgomery and Sangamon counties, south of the state capital, after dust from newly plowed fields took over the highway, according to police. 37 people were hospitalized with injuries ranging from life-threatening to minor, according to the Illinois State Police. Those injured ranged in age from 2 to 80 years old. 72 vehicles involved in the crashes, which happened along a 2-mile stretch. 2 semi-trucks also caught fire. The wrecks happened in both north and southbound lanes, with all the deaths being reported in northbound lanes. The interstate reopened in both directions this morning, according to the Illinois Department of Transportation. Tweeting.
I wonder if they're having the winds we're having.
Has anybody blamed climate change yet? Or instead of blaming the drivers, are we going to blame the farmers?
No, Kenny, it's funny you say that. I saw it reported that there may be pending lawsuits against the farmers for this. And I thought, that's ridiculous.
Wow.
I don't think of Illinois as a dust storm place.
No, that's what surprised me most as well.
But dry soil wins. I mean, they've got a lot of farms.
Mm-hmm.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy spoke with President Biden, accepted an invitation to meet with the top 4 congressional leaders May 9th at the White House to talk about how to avert a debt limit breach. The president on Monday called the 4 leaders to invite them to the May 9 meeting. Biden's invitation issued hours after Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen warned in a letter the U.S. could breach the debt ceiling by June 1st, earlier than expected, if Congress doesn't act. The letter set a narrower timeline for Congress to avert a first U.S. default as Congress and the White House remain deadlocked over the issue.
And thanks to loyal listener Joe via the Garage Logic Town Council, I give you 20 seconds of President Biden versus the teleprompter.
We see it here again today in companies like, I hope I pronounced it right, Ame Power. Is it Ame? I believe that's right, yeah. Ame Power, Florida Small Business Winner Award winner, or Business Week winner won.
They're laughing at him. Strategery.
Yeah.
It makes him look like a genius, doesn't it? Like a well-spoken
Our
guy.
once great nation. Wow. That's just sad.
To think that this once great nation could face another presidential election between the 2 most unfit people to run for office in history.
I'm glad you brought that up, Joe, because, I lost the story, but CNN's taking a lot of grief.
Mm-hmm.
They've lined up a town hall with Donald Trump. And,
oh my goodness!
And there's some folks going after him a little bit for that.
Well, he has no policies. He has no ideology. It'll just be a retribution.
Did he go after what's her name? Kaylee? Is it McEnany? Is that how you pronounce her last name? For basically saying something nice about DeSantis. Don, just set the play out.
It's just terrible. It's just we're just so doomed in everywhere you look.
I think everyone here recognizes how extraordinary.
Get her off that air. And that teleprompter thing with Biden, he's like that guy in that movie you keep talking about.
Put the question mark.
He'll read anything you put up there.
Well, if he can read it.
No,
if he
he'll
can
try.
sound it out.
He'll try to read it.
We talked about this earlier. Gordon Lightfoot, Canadian folk singer whose rich plaintive baritone and gift for melodic songwriting made him one of the most popular recording artists of the 70s, died last night in Toronto. He was 84. The publicist did not specify a cause, but Lightfoot has a number of health problems in recent years. Fast rising star in Canada in the early 60s, he broke through to international success when his friends and fellow Canadians, folk singers Ian and Sylvia Tyson, recorded two of his songs, Early Morning Rain and For Lovin' Me. For Lovin' Me has been recorded by hundreds of entertainers, one that Bob Dylan said he wished he had written and recorded himself. When Peter, Paul, and Mary came out with their own versions of his songs and Marty Robbins reached the top with Lightfoot's Ribbon of Darkness, his reputation soared. When folk music ebbed in popularity, overwhelmed by the British invasion, he began writing ballads aimed at a broader audience. He scored one hit after another, beginning in 1970 with If You Could Read My Mind, Sundown, Carefree Highway, Rainy Day People, Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Lightfoot had some medical issues over the years, collapsing and almost dying on stage in 2002 after suffering an aneurysm. He recovered, continued writing and touring. Gordon Lightfoot was 84 years old. 1 month after Cash App founder Bob Lee was found stabbed on the streets of San Francisco, his alleged killer will appear in court today. 38-year-old Nima Momeni, a 38-year-old tech entrepreneur who reportedly knew Lee personally, will be arraigned on murder charges in San Francisco in a case that riveted the world. Lee was found with multiple stab wounds in downtown San Francisco in the early morning hours of April 4th. In the days that followed, an information void and lack of arrest sparked speculation that the killing had been a random act of violence. But details soon emerged that changed that narrative, revealing the stabbing was the alleged result of a dispute between two acquaintances. Discussion of the crime has since shifted to whispers of rampant drug use, the high-flying world of tech executives, and a fatal showdown over Lee's relationship with Momeni's sister. According to court filings, Momeni had confronted Lee about his relationship with his sister. Officials said the sister sent Lee a text after an argument asking if the executive was okay. By then, he had already been stabbed. Security footage showing Momeni and Lee leaving a building together, them stopping, and him being stabbed, including in the heart. Hollywood's 15 years of labor peace shattered Tuesday as movie and television writers went on strike, bringing a lot of productions to a halt, dealing a blow to an industry that's been rocked in recent years by the pandemic and technological shifts. The unions representing the writers said in a statement hours before their 3-year contract expired at midnight that they had voted unanimously to call a strike. They did begin walking picket lines this morning. The Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, which bargains on behalf of Hollywood companies, said in a statement its offer included what they called generous increases in compensation for writers. The main sticking points, according to the studios, involve union proposals that would require companies to staff television shows with a certain number of writers for a specified period of time, whether needed or not. A Mississippi man was arrested during a traffic stop after he tried to hide his gun in a Taco Bell quesadilla, according to police.
Hey, right here. Must be that big jumbo burrito or quesadilla.
Devin P. Mitchell folded the gun into the quesadilla when police stopped him and driver Olivia Neff for a traffic violation. Officers reportedly saw Mitchell stuffing the handgun into a Taco Bell bag, prompting them to conduct a search of the vehicle and the bag, and that's where they found the gun hidden in the meal. Mitchell found himself slapped with other charges after police also recovered methamphetamine, liquid heroin, and drug paraphernalia.
Imagine, no wonder he was hungry.
Mitchell was taken into custody, charged with possession of a controlled substance with intent to distribute while in possession of a firearm, possession of a controlled substance, tampering with physical evidence, possession of a weapon by a felon, and possession of paraphernalia.
John, that's
Jordy calls it the new Holsterito from Taco Bell.
Wait, he gets one of these.
You know, in keeping with everything else we've spoken about today, I was reading a piece in Alpha News that the DFL is shutting out Republicans from committees. Last week, 2 major conference committees, one on public safety and the Judiciary Omnibus Bill, and another on the environment, climate, and energy, were formed without appointment of Republican legislators in the House.
Danger.
House Republicans expressed frustration in both instances, which they say breaks with past precedent of the majority party, appointing at least one member from the minority party to a conference committee. Specifically, House Minority Leader Lisa DeMuth said Democrats are shutting out Republican voices in the environment, climate, and energy bill by only appointing House DFLers to that conference committee who live within 20 miles of the state capitol.
What could go wrong?
Democrats know this bill has virtually zero support outside the metro because it will increase the cost of energy for Minnesota families and raise millions of dollars in fees when we have a $17.5 billion surplus, said DeMuth, a Republican from Cold Spring. The Conference Committee on the Public Safety and Judiciary Omnibus Bill also includes no Republicans from either the House or the Senate. For context, all the conference committees on major omnibus bills during the 2021 budget year featured bipartisan membership.
We're doomed.
They have no interest in, and that's why it's such a hypocritical lie to hear the governor say, we're fulfilling the promises that we made to Minnesota voters. Finally, no gridlock, this and that and the other thing. You're a disappointment, sir. You're just a major league disappointment.
No, he's a bag of scum.
Well,
You're putting it nicely.
I'm being more charitable.
No, he's a dirtball and a liar and a thief.
I take Kenny's side.
Well, Senate DFLers have said they are working hard to ensure they have enough votes to pass universal background check and red flag bills. It's not yet known if they'll get support from 2 freshman DFL senators in greater Minnesota on the Senate floor or from senators in suburban swing districts. One of the public safety conferees is first-term Senator Judy Seeberger, DFL Afton, who made news over the weekend when she published a tweet describing herself as one of the several moderate lawmakers who wish we were passing bills that were a little more, moderate. And I suppose she'll take grief from the hardcore urban.
Of course you will.
DFLers. So Republicans have been left out of all the action up there as the Mysterians enjoy the trifecta. Thank you. Let's take a small time.
Joe, when you're about to chow down a revolver-filled quesadilla, you know what you need to wash that down with?
Bullets.
An ice-cold glass of clean water.
Oh, I like water.
You know what? And you'll get that when you make the switch to Connecticut and Hofferman water. Look at right here. I bring it every day.
Is that what
See
you're
this?
drinking?
Out of my pink water bottle.
Pink water bottle.
Because it fits in my cup holder. That's why I use that one. Anyway, Hofferman water, the best in the business. Get on the schedule. I keep telling you, spring is busy, so get on the schedule now if you want to have somebody come out and give you that free water analysis. They're here for you. Call them today, 952-894-4040, 952-894-4040. Listen, bad water's terrible, and it can affect almost every aspect of your home. But you get that new system from Connecticut, it doesn't matter. Maybe it's a water softener, an iron rust or odor filtration system, or a brand new drinking water system. Hofferman Water has got you taken care of. Visit their website and see everything that they have online, HoffermanWater.com. They have been proudly serving the state of Minnesota for over 50 years. Tell them you heard about them here on the Garage Logic podcast.
Get rid of us.
You cannot stop him. He'll just make a move. Joe Souchere.
The Toro Time Cutter zero-turn mower sale continues through May at Tri-State Bobcat. Let's start with the 42-inch Time Cutter zero-turn, $2,099. $999. If you're sick of chasing that mower around, pushing it, this is your baby, and that's a really good price, and you're going to really enjoy mowing your lawn with a zero turn. The 50-inch time cutter, $3,499, and the ace in the hole, the big one, the 60-inch Titan Max zero turn with the MyRide, $6,499. That's a hell of a savings, a hell of a deal on a hell of a machine. That MyRide suspension, you will love it. Makes mowing a large yard or acreage, if you're going to sit on that thing for a while, it's going to be a whole lot easier on your aching bones. That Kawasaki engine, super powerful, very reliable. And the Toro design and build is absolutely brilliant. It really makes cleaning these units and servicing them really, really easy. And when you go to Tri-State Bobcat and you start examining the Toro time cutters, you're going to see why Toro is the leader in the lawn care industry. And while you're there, stroll around the showroom. They've got some pretty cool, fun tools and machines that you can buy and or rent. 3 locations in the Twin Cities metro. We're talking Burnsville, Little Canada, and Hudson. And down in Owatonna, all of these deals are available at Mankeys. They're part of the Tri-State family. Spend some time on that website. Check everything out, tristatebobcat.com.
Only because they come to us all the way from the Fernandina, the Villages, Florida, from the traveling Lymans at worldwidewaftage.com. It was on this day.
Joe, today is May 2nd.
In 1903, automobile license number 1 was issued for a Packard owned by R.C. Wright of St. Paul. I wonder if the family kept that. Wouldn't that be neat?
Oh, I hope they did.
On this day, in 1976,
5-2.
A baseball game was canceled. I had a Royce-like acid.
You really did.
A baseball game was canceled at Metropolitan Stadium due to what?
Metropolitan
Flooding.
Nope. Animals. Something with animals.
Hail. Kenny was right. Snow. The latest snow out in Minnesota history, Twins history. On this day in 1986.
You mean May 2nd?
The Steger International Polar Expedition, led by Will Steger and Paul Shirky of Ely, reached the North Pole. And team member Anne Bancroft of St. Paul was the first woman to cross the Arctic to the pole. And on this day, in 1992...
Was the Will thing before or after he came out to the fair with you?
Before.
Okay.
Before.
Then he brought a block of ice to the fair. On this day in 1992, Nobel laureate Rigoberta Menchú of Guatemala visited the Twin Cities as a guest of the Minneapolis American Indian Center. I don't know of her, but she was a Nobel laureate, Rigoberta Menchú of Guatemala.
God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you, GLers.
GLers, listen to the Rook.
Listen to the Rook tell you about PodMN on your smartphone. Very easy to navigate on your smartphone. Go to PodMN to find out any type of podcast that you might be interested. Education, entertainment, sports, whatever the case may be, it can be found at PodMN on your smartphone. YouTube, we got a great YouTube page, and you subscribe to that, and you're going to be entertained for hours. When there's no podcast to listen to, go to YouTube. Yeah, I think you'd be surprised. There's some really good old stuff in there. My trip to South Dakota from way back, that was, and all those kids are now.
Don't touch that radio dial.
That was great. Matthew trying to unload the camper dumpster.
It's all about you, isn't it, baby?
It really is, honey. That's subscribing to you on YouTube to Garage Logic. And then go to garagelogic.com, sign up for the town council, $100 a year or $10 a month. You can get a Fratelloni's $10 hardware and garden store gift card.
It is time once again that we check in with our guy, Mr. Money Talk. Josh Arnold is with us, and boy, GLers, now's the time for you to do the same in these volatile times. So please do not delay. Do what I did. Pick up that phone and make that call for that free 48-minute financial consultation. So pick up that phone and dial 952-925-5608. That number once again is 952-925-5608. You call that number, you get Josh. You also get Trust
trust. You'll get straight talk, never sugar-coated advice. And Josh is on the line with us. Josh, I have a loaded question. So are you prepared for this, sir?
I am prepared, Chris.
All right.
I am prepared. You can ask as loaded a question as you want.
I read this morning, and I became infuriated by what I read. Democratic Congresswoman Lois Frankel, she represents Florida's 22nd congressional district. Well, it was unearthed earlier today that Lois Frankel sold First Republic Bank in March before the stock dropped 80%. After she sold First Republic, Josh, she then bought J.P. Morgan Chase, which just so happened to have purchased First Republic. She clearly had inside information. Josh, if you or I did this, we'd be in prison.
Well, I don't know whether we'd be in prison, but we would definitely, for trading on inside information, you definitely would face, Chris, some fairly stiff fine. Now, I do not know whether Congresswoman Frankel had inside information or not, but given that First Republic Bank is located in California and she's in Florida, and that is a super regional bank, and if she sold this early in March and decided that she wanted to buy a larger bank, J.P. Morgan, and she made a little money, now she got lucky because on March 9th, that's the day after Silicon Valley Bank filed to raise $2 billion to make up for a shortfall that they had in their books and to meet, we'll say, regulatory concerns. Silicon Valley Bank faced a run on the bank with $43 billion being pulled out. And the next day, when Silicon Valley Bank was closed by regulators early in the morning, another $100 billion was supposed to go out. Silicon Valley Bank, as it was discovered, had a huge mismatch between, we'll say, their deposits, depositors need to withdraw money, and what the bank was earning on their bond and loan portfolio. We have covered this before. Silicon Valley Bank happened to have their bond portfolio yielding about 1.9% when comparable bonds were yielding just under 4%. As we've discussed previously, as interest rates go up, bond values go down. And Silicon Valley Bank was probably just a tip of the iceberg, but it was one of the larger regional banks, and their demise led to a lot of selling of other regional banks, including First Republic Bank, which saw its stock drop precipitously until it was put into receivership on Monday morning. And J.P. Morgan, one of the banks too big to fail and one of the largest banks in the country, was considered the only bidder for First Republic's assets. That deal, when it's definitely completed, will be accretive to J.P. Morgan's earnings. J.P. Morgan yesterday, which is Monday, was up on the news. First Republic shareholders are out of luck. Today, banks, and particularly banks, are seeing their stocks down and down significantly, and other banks that were on the same watch list by large-scale investors and others for their deposit base potentially fleeing included Pacific West, Zions Bank, Western Alliance, CoStar, among others. These banks saw their stock prices drop 10 to 20% early this morning, and the regional bank index, market symbol KRE, is down 6%. Now, that's a much broader index than just including those stocks that are really hurt. Short sellers are back pressing their bets against regional banks, and these banks have some of the same issues that First Republic had, Silicon Valley Bank had. Bond portfolios that, if marked to market, are worth less than par value. Not too difficult to see. We've covered this before, that the Federal Reserve, which is meeting today and tomorrow and has raised interest rates very quickly and high, have put a major hurt on banks, in particular their deposit portfolios that are backed by government bonds, and the depositors, which have not gotten deposit interest rates, have not kept up with the rate of increase on short-term treasury. So depositors can be pulling money from the banks and putting that in treasuries or other higher yielding assets, at least for the short term. So this has not only affected banks, it's affected other bank type assets. I am not, as I have stated previously, I have not been a bank investor. I'll leave that to others. I do not plan on being a bank investor. I'll say for the last year, banks with interest rates going up have really been uninvestable. Now, if I add to that some of the other issues that are going to hit not only the market, but could hit the economy as well, from the Fed's actions of raising interest rates, tightening the money supply in an effort to bring down inflation, part of which the Fed caused, part was caused by fiscal policies, and a good part was caused by the energy policy or lack thereof. We're in the situation that we currently have. Now, the next large problem related to banks, and also we'll say to some fiscal policies is the issues with commercial real estate, in particular commercial real estate related to office buildings, particularly as those rents or leases get renewed, whether it's this year or next year, and companies are needing less space. That's going to put another damper on banks and another reason, my estimation, not to invest. But today we probably had a confluence of issues that have brought the market down. The issues with the regional banks selling off and being heavily shorted. You have Janet Yellen announcing last night that the debt ceiling would be reached June 1st. And whether Congress, the Senate, and the President act in a timely manner, that's still up in the air and all a matter of politics. We'll see how that is resolved, though Congress has put forth a bill already to deal with the debt ceiling and actually raise the debt ceiling in exchange for cuts in spending. We'll see what happens next week, or at least the start of next week, when the President meets with both House and Senate leadership, and that's on both sides of the aisle. Today also, oil is down and down hard on concerns about demand, particularly overseas, and oil stocks this year, after outperforming last year, are also in a world of hurt. Meantime, we've had positive news on the earnings front and continue to have positive news on the earnings front from many companies, including today Uber and Marriott. Last night had good news from one of my gaming companies, MGM Mirage, and this week see the balance of my gaming companies reporting, including Las Vegas Sands already reported and did very well, including Caesars Palace tonight, DraftKings and Penn Gaming on Thursday, when I'll be on pins and needles for Apple's report. We'll cover that on Thursday.
Very good, Mr. Money Talk. You heard him, GLers. Now's the time for you to pick up that phone and make that call for that free 48-minute financial consultation by dialing 952-925-5608, where you're always going to get straight talk and you're never going to get sugar-coated advice. Josh, once again, thank you so much for the time and the chat. Have a great rest of your day, and like you said, we'll do this again on Thursday.
Okay, thanks, Chris.
Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC, a security investment advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions are Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice.
Chris Reavers is a paid endorser.